In this video, I'm going to talk about datums. These are references that we can use to create two-dimensional sketches and three-dimensional features off of them. There are some built-in datums that we can reference, like this front plane, the top plane, or the right plane. And there's also, once you create a feature, there are some surfaces and axes and points that you can reference as well. If I want to use this top surface, this axis here, or maybe a point. And again, these are not initially available, but after the feature is made, you can reference them. So if I wanted to add a extrude off of a surface instead of a existing plane, I can just click on that surface and create my extrude, which I'm going to do really quickly. Now, if I want to create a datum or something to reference that's not already existing, I can add it here in the Features tab. I can go over to References. The three that I'm going to focus on today are plane, axis, and point. Let's get started with point. You can see over here on the left that I have some options. I can choose an arc center. In this case, it's a circle, but it will automatically choose the center of that shape. I can choose the center of a face, similarly just by selecting the face there. I can choose the intersection, projection, on point. These are some that you should play around with later. Next, I can add an axis. There are several different ways that I can do this. I can choose an existing line and have a new axis that exists on that line. I can connect 2 points. So maybe this one here, I'm going to hold my control key and choose this one on the opposite side. And you can see that axis cuts across my shape. And I can choose one, the center of a cylinder or some sort of cone shape by clicking that round surface. You can see that it now exists there. The last one I want to show you is a plane. And there's a ton of different ways that you can make all of these features. You can play around with what's listed over here. Maybe I don't want to use this axis, I can delete it. Or if I want to add it back in, I can click on it. Make sure that I'm selecting my second reference. And I can create a plane that is coincident with that axis and perpendicular, parallel, or I'm actually going to choose a 45-degree offset angle. And you can see this plane is created. But there's a ton of different ways that you can do this. I'm going to leave it like that for now, and we can see my plane 2. There are a variety of different ways that you can set up the same datum, and this is really something you should explore to find the most efficient and robust methods for your design. Datums are frequently used for more complex features, like the cut that you can see in this image here. There are several different ways that you can make this cut. The way that I'm going to show you is not the only way to do this, and it is not even the most efficient way to create this shape, but I really want to help you get a sense of how you can use the features first before we get into something more robust. What I'm going to do is create a point here, a point here, an axis that connects them, and then a perpendicular plane. Then I'm going to use my extrude cut feature to cut this shape out. So like I said, I'm going to get started with some points. And actually, instead of using this references feature, I'm going to create a sketch and use the point here. I'll add one right here and here and dimension these really quick. Next, I'm going to use the axis and use 2 points and just select those and hit OK. And that's exactly where I wanted it to be. Now for my plane, I'm going to want to reference this axis as well as this point. So I'm going to take references and add a point right there. Hit OK, and go back in and add my plane. Instead of having the point selected first, I'm going to select my axis and make it perpendicular. And for my second reference, I'm going to grab 0.3. And then you can see up here, I get this green fully defined message when I am good to go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that plane, create a new sketch, and make that circular cut. That's an extruded cut. I already have the sketch selected, and I want it to be through all on both sides. Now I have my cut. I make this hidden lined, it's a little easier to see. The last thing I want to do is create the shape right here or something similar to it. So I'm going to create another plane that I want to be an angle offset from this plane rotated about this axis. So I have this axis selected as coincident here. And for that offset, maybe I'll do something a little more like that. I'm going to select extrude. Create my shape. And make it mid-plane. And there you can see I have that shape.